Welcome to a new English Express episode. In this episode, we will talk about common mistakes we make using since. You can find the transcript on my website, EnglishPlusPodcast.com. And better yet, if you are a premium subscriber on Patreon, you will get exclusive episodes, series, and resources to take your English and learning to the next level. You can find all the links you need in the description of the episode. And now, without further ado, let's talk about common mistakes we make using since. So let me start with this example. The company was in India since 1951. What's wrong with that? The company was in India since 1951. That's fine. No, since that time, and it's still there. Well, that's the problem, actually. When a time expression begins with since, we normally use the present perfect tense, not the past simple. Because what we're trying to say is that since 1951 or whatever year you want to use until now. That's the meaning of since. Since that time in the past until now. And that is the essence of the present perfect, not the past simple. So we should say here, the company has been in India since 1951. So there's nothing wrong with using since in this case, but the problem is with the tense we use with since. Let me give you another example. I hadn't heard from him since at least 2 years. What's wrong with that? Well, now the problem is with since, the way we used since. The first time we said since 1951, there was nothing wrong about that. There was something wrong with the tense we used. Now here, it's not about the tense, but it's about since and the kind of phrase we use after since. Now, the problem here that we said since at least 2 years. When we mention the length of a period, we use for. Not since. We say, for example, she was in hospital for 6 weeks. Or, can you wait for 20 minutes? For, not since. Since marks the beginning of a period which continues up to now, the moment of speaking. Like when we say, I haven't seen him since October, until now. Since that time, started in October, and it still continues up to the present, up to the moment of speaking. That is since. And here, going back to this example, we said, since at least 2 years, well, that is not a specific point in time. That is a length or a period of time. So we should use for here. We should say, I hadn't heard from him for at least 2 years. And now let's talk about the next example. Many things have changed since the last 10 years. Well, here again, there's a problem. Since the last 10 years, something doesn't add up here. Something is not natural here. It is not. The last 10 years is not just a point in time. But what should we use? What should we say? Well, when we mention the period of time within which something happens, we use over or during. So here, instead of saying since the last 10 years, many things have changed since the last 10 years, we should say over or during, not since. We should say many things have changed over the last 10 years or during the last 10 years. Now, I can say many things have changed since I was a boy. That's okay. Since I was a boy, that's one point in time. It's okay, you might argue that, well, you were a boy not for just one day, but that was just a point in time. I was a boy, I was in school, etc. But when we talk about a period of time like this, we should say over or during. All right? Now let's move to the next example. I bought the calculator since 3 months. Well, here, you might say 3 months, that's a period of time, we should say 4, right? Well, actually, the problem here is different. First of all, we're talking about something that happened in the past, no relation to the present. I'm not talking about how long I have owned this calculator, which is a different story. I'm just telling you about what happened in the past. And since or for are not exactly the words we want to use in this example. But a lot of people make this mistake. They say, I bought this thing, whatever, the calculator, since 3 months. Well, actually, you don't want to say that. When we mention the time when something happened in relation to now, which is the moment of speaking, obviously, we use ago. For example, I came to England 3 months ago, not since 3 months, 3 months ago. We don't use for here. We're not talking about a period of time. We're just talking about when this thing happened. It happened 3 months ago. And here, the same thing goes for the calculator, or for buying the calculator. I bought the calculator 3 months ago. And now for our final example, we're going to use since in a different sense, in a different meaning. I'll give you this example. Since we were late, so we decided to go by taxi. Well, we can use since to talk about the reason why something happened, and that's completely normal. Since is not only used to talk about time. But the problem here that we use since and so within the same sentence, and that is not right. We do not use since and so together in the same sentence. To link two clauses, we use just one conjunction, not two. And here, since is a conjunction, so is another conjunction. We don't use them together. So here, to make the sentence correct, to avoid this common mistake, we can either say, since we were late, we decided to go by taxi, which is okay, or we say we were late, so we decided to go by taxi, but not both of them together. We don't say since we were late, so we decided. Either since without so or so without since. And that's everything, my friends. That's everything I wanted to share with you in this English Express episode, and that was common mistakes using since. Don't forget to visit my website, EnglishPlusPodcast.com, not only for the transcript, but also to check on the great learning opportunities you can find there. There's the Activity Center with daily fun activities, quizzes, and logic and math puzzles, and there's a lot more available only to premium subscribers on Patreon. All the links you need are in the description of the episode. What are you waiting for? Take your English and learning to the next level and never stop learning with EnglishPlusPodcast.com. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. This is your host, Danny. I will see you next time.